Good now. Yeah, I'm getting it going. I mean, it's the Zoom meeting started. Now I'm getting it connected to the. Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Hey, Dwayne.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Who's this?
It's Jen.
That's what I thought. Sorry. Like for a second, you sounded like Ann, but then I could see it down the bottom
Oh, okay.
corner. And yeah,
Yeah.
now I better understand you. Awesome. So you ready to when you ready to go tell again?
Really soon. We're going to Florida for spring break, and then after that, I just need to find some skis. I was trying to call around to find some to rent some, but nowhere rents them. You have to go all the way like downtown Denver.
Yeah.
So if
What size shoe do you? What size ski boot do you wear?
like an 8.5 or so.
Oh,
I mean, I can
you're
squish into an 8 or a 9. Either way.
I'm in. I've got a 9 that would fit you enough. Even if it was mine, might be a
Ooh,
9.
cool.
Would be close. I've got like 3 sets of tele skis. I could let you.
Oh,
Bettina's got a set, and we're kind of in the process of getting her set up. Um,
nice.
so yeah, we're get you hooked up with that and go. It's fun. It's so much fun watching her learn.
Yeah, I would love. I want to do it so bad. Yeah, a 9 would totally work. Yeah.
And you can use and like mine are the ones I started out on buckles, so it'd be
Uh-huh.
perfect.
Yeah, she said she went and had good time doing it with you and
It's oh
everything.
you're digging because it just when you do that, you're like, gosh, how it's so boring.
Denise, Denise, we can hear background noise coming from you.
Okay.
We can hear your
Okay.
TV.
That's how I was wondering
Thanks.
what that was.
I'll mute.
Thank you.
Oh, that was weird.
Yeah. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
she went up today, didn't she?
yeah, but stupid traffic. She only got to do one run, so she didn't get to work on it that much. Lucas is coming
Oh,
along. So yeah,
cool.
like I told you, there's some techniques you could try, but or just practicing. But until really like for you guys learning, it's you kind of got to be on the mountain on the skis doing it.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited. It'll be so fun. I can't wait to try it. I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years. So, yeah, it'll be
Well,
cool.
and the cool thing too is, it's like I told Bettina, if you have a telly set up, then you get some skins. You could use them anywhere. You go up Guanella Pass, you go hiking. You could do, some of the low angle backcountry stuff. It gives you way more to do.
Yeah, and it will be fun just to go out in, the woods and just be able to do stuff instead of having to, always go to the resort. So I hear you.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, my first year being on them, I'd go up to Silverdale and just hike around. I mean, it's not like cross country where they grab. I mean, you kind of slip and slide, but it gets you comfortable on quick. It's just
I'm gonna go pee before my meeting starts.
Well, you got 11 minutes.
I'm gonna do the same thing. I'll be back.
Perfect.
Hey, Kent, it's David Burton. How are you? I think you're muted. Hey, I want to just make sure that you have the revised plan that we presented last time for our hearing last week.
You know, we intend to keep the oldest version available. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
What I have in my packet, and Jennifer she'll tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the one that has the trail on it.
Perfect. Perfect.
We can screen share that real quick, I guess, and check it if y'all want to. Want me to find it and bring it up?
Sure, that'd be great, Jennifer. Just to make sure everyone's looking at the same
Yeah.
thing this time.
I apologize last time that happened.
Well, it's kind of funny because I'm talking about it and a couple of the commissioners are looking at me like saying, "What? I don't see what you're saying." I was like, "Whoops."
Yeah.
So
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
no worries.
Yeah, because we're talking about Exhibit A, correct? With and it shows the 10-foot
Yeah.
wide. Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect.
And it says 5-foot landscape buffer
Yeah, that's it.
and
Okay.
pretty.
Well, I will flip my monitor off and just let me know when you're up for us.
And I might ask Dwayne to switch it around because I think the other one will go quicker than yours. Just if Wally comes on. But I don't know, both of them may take a little bit. Maybe it'll work regarding the way
Well,
it's
I
scheduled
appreciate
on
it.
there.
I was gonna say I'd appreciate to go earlier because it's my brother's birthday tonight, and I have to do.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
You got to do a Zoom birthday? Huh?
he's in Florida and he's turning 80 today.
Oh,
So
boy.
yeah,
Oh,
it's a
wow.
big one.
Yeah, Ken, I'm sorry. And Andre did call earlier and told me that, and I had announced that his was first, so that it should be no
Okay.
problem. I didn't relay that
Okay.
message to Kent, David.
Okay,
Sorry.
cool. Well,
Is
thanks.
this the right one that's up here now?
Yes,
Okay, sweet.
yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Well, just let me know when I'm up. I'm gonna just get some other stuff done.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So Ken, are we going to do the Creek House one first then, or we back to the other?
No, we can keep it the way it is. That's fine.
Sorry, Kent, I didn't tell you that earlier. That he
Oh,
had
okay.
mentioned his birthday for his
Oh, okay.
family
Well,
member.
it's what it's listed on the agenda, and that's just
Mhm.
the DRC in the meeting the other night had an item first that took almost an hour, and then everybody else was waiting. So,
Yeah.
I view it as one is more simple than the other, but the board may not. So, probably shouldn't guess what the
Yeah, I mean,
board's
looking
decision
over,
was.
they're both not. It's I guess how everybody looks at it, but the layout for the first one is it's a super nice layout. It seems like it gives more parking. I guess as long as it's anybody could use the parking, they don't limit it to just their spaces. But yeah, we'll see.
And Dwayne, I had asked Jerry to join us tonight, so the town attorney will shout us down if we go in the wrong direction. So just to let you know.
Perfect. We always tend to do that, so shut us down.
No, we don't.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. It's a nice day out there.
Yes.
So it looks like everybody's here, Dwayne.
Yeah, it's 5:58, so let's, it is Wednesday, March 17th, 2021, 5:58, and call this meeting to order. You want to do the roll call, Jen?
Sure. Okay, Chairman Dwayne Gazinski,
Here?
Kathleen Heff,
Here.
Ann Wilkin,
Here.
Ed Hoover,
You're muted, Ed.
Ed, I don't know. Yeah. We'll give him a
Is Ed
second.
only by phone right now?
Yeah. Uh-huh. We'll give him a sec to unmute. And then Denise Newton.
Here.
And now we just got to get Ed. There you go.
Okay,
Yeah, we can hear you.
okay, I'm okay.
Woohoo.
Right? Awesome. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ed, aye.
We don't have any audience business, do we, Jen?
No, I don't have any audience business for you tonight.
All right, perfect. New business, that is the right one. Encroachment license recommendation for Real Architecture, location near the intersection of 22nd Street and Argentine Street, 2000 block of Argentine Street, right away west of Argentine Street, Building Lot 1, Block 3.
And Dwayne, I'll kind of introduce some things and then we'll let David, the applicant, talk about it for a little bit. We included in your packet the procedure for reviewing encroachment licenses. And in my packet, which was a copy of yours, it's the first page after the agenda page. And it talks about submittal requirements. And then also on the back page of that, it shows the review criteria. And it says in the review criteria, following submission of an application for an encroachment license, the application shall be referred to the various town departments and referral agencies that may be affected. Following review and comment by town departments and referral agencies, the town of Georgetown shall consider the request in light of the following. And right above that, it says as part of the submittal requirements, the applicant shall seek a recommendation of approval to the Board of Selectmen from the Planning Commission. And that's why it's before you tonight, is for a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. So it's not an approval, it's not a disapproval. It's just a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. But then we included in the action item form created, gave you a background on the encroachment licenses, and then went through all the review criteria and had comments from the various departments. Now, we have not received comments as yet from the Clear Creek Fire Authority. But from the other departments, there were comments included, and they're all in bold and underlined for you as far as the various comments regarding the review criteria for each of these things. So I just wanted to point that out to you. I didn't want to review it in total, but I just wanted to state that this is the procedure and this is why it's coming to you. This was set up by the Board of Selectmen about 15 years ago in 2005 because of the various encroachment licenses that were being presented at that time. And we've had one in the last year or two as far as an encroachment license. And now we have two more that are presented to you tonight. And this one, I will let the applicant take it from there. David Burton is here from Real Architecture, and he can describe some of the things regarding this request.
Great, thanks, guys. I appreciate you hearing about our project. So to give you a little bit of background, I'm a licensed architect, I'm a licensed general contractor, and I'm a developer. I design about 80 projects a year in the Front Range. Myself and a few partners purchased the old Coors property that Julie Holmes owned up on top of Guanella Pass a couple of years ago. And so we've been working with Clear Creek on our property up there. We've been driving through Georgetown every time we get up to top of Guanella. And my partner, Charles Moore, is one of the owners of a townhome at Bighorn Crossing. He brought this property to my attention, and I immediately liked the location for commercial building. The lot is extremely narrow and long. The lot that we're looking at abuts I-70, and it's 23.9 feet on one end and 61.6 feet on the other end, and 325 feet long. And when we initially took a look at this,
I can't hear. I'll go whenever. Yeah.
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there any way you can rotate that on the screen, perhaps? But in any case, when we initially took a look at the property, I said, I'd love to move forward with this. So I put the property under contract. I was told by the seller that the property had perhaps had some introduction to the city before, but it didn't move very far. And one of the issues was parking. And I immediately realized that at 25 feet wide, there's not much of an opportunity to park on the lot itself. So that's why we're before you for the, whoops, upside down, but getting there, for the encroachment permit. And I'd never done an encroachment permit before, and Kent kind of led us through the process a bit. We went through, I prepared this as an initial sketch, and we were introduced to the design review committee last week, and I really wasn't ready to start talking about details of design and details of the specific project until I can move forward knowing that I could park on the project. The Argentine Street right-of-way is extremely wide. It's 100 feet wide. And I think, I'm not sure why it originated at that width, but there's currently Argentine is a 24-foot asphalt road. And so I understand that there's going to be a future plans for the Peak to Plains Trail, road bike trail. So I'm requesting to use some of the right-of-way for part of our drive aisle and part of our parking lot. Now, I know when I read the encroachment agreement that this can be, an encroachment once given can be withdrawn by the town at any time. But I do feel like as the area at Bighorn Crossing really starts filling in and hopefully completes sometime in the next couple of years, and that this retail would be an asset to the community. We've been in touch with a couple of groups, and we've talked to a couple urgent care facilities who are interested perhaps in opening an urgent care center on this property. We were also friends with the founders and owners of Never Summer Snowboards, who currently is the largest US snowboard manufacturer. They manufacture here in Colorado, and they are very interested in opening the first ever Never Summer retail store. So we've got two good potential tenants that could, be a long-term asset to the community. I think the urgent care could, and I believe that, local guys bringing a local product to a local community is a great thing. I don't know if you know much about Never Summer, but they manufacture skis for 4 companies. And so they don't brand them themselves, they brand them for other companies, but they manufacture snowboards. And one of their snowboards was in the last Winter Olympics. So they're really starting to become a international player. And we've been friends with them for quite a while. And we brought them up to the site about a month ago, and they were in love. They thought this would be wonderful for them. So again, the property is under contract, and I really can't move forward unless I can get this allowable encroachment license to put some of my drive aisle and parking on a public right of way. So that's why I'm here before you to request your support and recommendation so that I can go to the Board of Selectmen and try my luck getting this project moving forward. So that's what I have to say. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Yeah, I'm not getting the drawings showing up on my screen.
Hey, Kathleen, did you, it's in our package too. Did you get the package? The
I didn't
paperwork?
get the packet. I only got the agenda off of the internet.
Gotcha. And you can't see the picture on the screen either?
You know, there might be a setting on Zoom that you're only seeing the faces and not the picture. I'm not that familiar with it, but I think that might be the case.
It could be, but in fact, I don't even see anything on the, I mean, I've got the, okay, so I've taken all the pictures down, and I'm still getting this sort of an advertisement from from Zoom. So
I don't know how you're joined then if you're not seeing us, Kathleen.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're here. I hear you.
Everyone else sees it as well? Everyone else sees the screen?
Yeah.
Kathleen, you might be able to.
Yeah.
Might be able to what?
Well, I was thinking if it was on the website, but I'm not sure if I put it on there. Let me check it and see if I did it. If I put the whole packet on there, if it was just the agenda on our website. One sec, let me check it.
And did you not receive the email, Kathleen?
I did.
I can forward you the email.
No, I have, and all
Yeah,
that was
forwarded.
on was the agenda.
I sent the agenda packet, and then there was hard copies here at Town Hall.
Yeah, I'm getting both the pictures of you guys and the screen with the diagram. Sometimes there's a security setting on the bottom to enable sharing, but that's usually for participants to share. We clearly have a screen shared in front of us, so I don't know what the problem is.
I don't either.
I'll send a packet again to your email, Kathleen. And it's just the attachment, the PDF.
There's a little
And it's attached to.
on the right corner that says view, and maybe there's a different setting in there, Kathleen, that you can try.
I don't even have that.
Huh.
I mean, I've got the little squares that, show different people in different configurations, but I don't have any other. Actually, it says that I am viewing Jennifer's screen. Wait, you forgot some view options. Maybe it's there.
She's the one sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. That's okay. I'll try to figure it out without seeing the pictures.
So I'll try to explain it a little bit. So again, the public right of way is 100 feet wide, and Argentine is 24 feet of it centered on the right of way. We're showing that a 5-foot landscape buffer, then a 10-foot wide peak to plains trail, and then a parking lot that, has a one-way entrance to the north, and it's a one-way parking lot with with so small 21 spaces and then an exit back onto Argentine. So we are requesting the use of essentially about 17 plus 7, 24 feet of the public right of way for part of our parking and drive aisle. And then we'll obviously leave that 15 feet for the landscape buffer and the peak to Plains Trail.
So
There-
I have one question about this. Is an encroachment license the same as a revocable permit?
Basically, yes. Uh,
So it would be a revocable license.
the town code is really clear in saying that the Board of Selectmen has the right to grant encroachments onto town property, but that grant can be revocable by the town at any time. So it's kind of a rose by any other name. So an encroachment permit in Georgetown terms is always revocable. In other cities, an encroachment might be permanent, but not here because the code requires that. And the forms of encroachment agreement or license that we produce, and I've produced forms for the town before, have a specific reference that the permit is the encroachment is revocable. So, yep. Stevens.
Well, my question, like with looking at this too, I guess it's not really a question, but looking at this, the trail was kind of on our comprehensive plan, right, Kent? I think that we talked about that somewhat in the past. So my question would be, obviously once that trail goes in, you got a little bit of the buffer and then you've got the road right away. I think that kind of, once the trail goes in with that, the chances of ever widening Argentine Street so that you get all the way to those parking spots probably wouldn't happen. As long as the parking spots remain public, it seems that it kind of fits in with the town too. We've talked about that in the past, trying to create more parking. Yeah, of course you have business there and they could get filled up, but all our local spots can get filled up for any number of reasons. And kind of like with, what's the chances of Argentine Street ever being widened on that part that it'd be creating an issue? Especially
Well, the
with
reason, I'm sorry, Dwayne, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
The reason it's 100 feet wide is that's the old highway before I-70.
Gotcha.
Whether it was Highway 6 or another part of Georgetown is called another number, the right of way actually. But it is the old highway. So that's why it's 100 feet wide. I mean, that's typical for CDOT as far as highway widths. Not for the freeway, but for just regular US highways. That's why it's 100 feet. I don't see ever, for a couple of reasons, that Argentine would be widened. Now it might be widened for turn lanes or for other types of things like that, acceleration lane to get onto the street. But even that is hard to envision. I mean, but I don't see it with I-70 being there, that there ever being motivation for the town to widen that to anything larger than what it is currently, a 2-lane street. So.
Correct. So, and I guess the next question is just, during, if this moves forward during the process of making sure there's definitely a separation between the parking spots and the trail. I don't think that necessarily has to be 100% answered how that's going to happen. Just because I've seen in the past where cars would almost park into the trail and then that creates issues. But past that, I think that's more with David's, if they move forward with this. But I think the layout's beautiful. You fit a lot in a nice tight spot, and you definitely need parking. And if the parking's public, that definitely helps. Kathleen, do you kind of?
True.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Go ahead, Dwayne. You're asking
Kathleen,
Kathleen something.
you kind of understand the layout by how he had presented it without being able to see
Yeah,
it.
I do. I do. I guess my serious question is, I understand the way it was set up by the town. And I mean, I would hope also that, you know, we would never be widening that road, but watching how much traffic is up here gives me concern about that.
Yeah, with off of the layout, my thing is being able to see it. You know, we have 24 foot up until where they do a landscape buffer. If trail goes in, the trail adds another 10 foot. So I mean, basically, we have another 15 foot before we get to the parking spots. If they'd widen the road, we would lose our trail unless we put
Ooh,
the
I
trail
just
in
got it.
spots.
You got
So-
it now?
It just popped up.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, I see how this is set up. That's pretty much what I imagined you were saying.
Perfect.
If ever the road did widen to 100 feet wide, God bless it, never happens. I still have about 8 feet and I could do parallel parking in front of the building on the 100-foot wide road if that ever happened.
Yeah, so I'd be more concerned with you, David, with, you know, the investment, of course, and then losing those spots. And then, of course, yeah. So it seems like there's a lot of room there to kind of make that work.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember, it sounds kind of heartless, but for a revocable encroachment agreement, the developer is at risk and the town is not. So 40 years from now, if the road needs to be widened, that's still town-owned property that you're permitting to be used, and you can remove that permission at any time. 40 years from now, you can take it all back. And that's a risk that the developer, takes on when they're asking for encroachment on public property that's revocable. They don't own it, the town does and always will. And that's just part of the risk that you take and the planning that they have to engage in. Having said that, what is obviously in front of the commission here is, you know, do we think if it were likely that was going to happen next year, you probably wouldn't want to recommend encroachment, but you kind of look at the next few decades and say, is it a reasonable recommendation to make? And in the end, of course, it's the Board of Selectmen has to decide, but the risk is always on the developer here for eventualities in the future.
There is a possibility, I'm just throwing this out there, guys, that the risk could go away if the town was interested in selling that 23 feet to us. And so then it would be just, the right of way would just be diminished. And with that, perhaps we could even help put in the trail and the landscape buffer.
That's true, but that's not the application that's in front of this planning commission, and that decision would be made by the board. So I'd be inclined to stick to the testimony, et cetera, here on the application that you have filed.
Fair enough.
Dwayne,
Yes.
if I could add one, there's one key piece here and it was brought up last week at the DRC and I didn't make a specific, it's already been sent to the fire authority, but I haven't received a response. I didn't make a specific attempt to get a response before this meeting. The fire authority may have concern with the location of the building as far as the back of it, so close to the I-70 right away. So there may be some concerns that will be expressed by a fire authority, but there's no way to know one way or another at this point regarding that. I'm just saying that, and there was a little bit of discussion. What do you do regarding that if there is concern and if there's, because of the proximity and it's such a tight lot, it is so tight. And that's why they're asking for the encroachment license, is because of, it is such a tight lot. There's really no way to make this work well without the encroachment license.
Well,
And there was a couple other ideas regarding that, but that's not the application before you. I just want to let you know of that, that's, there'll still be comments made by the fire authority by the time it's presented to the board of selectmen. So,
well, and that brings in my question too, because if, you know, maybe it's open for discussion, but, you know, they put the building in, if the town for whatever reason would take that back, how does that work with the fire authority too? Because now you lose the space, which is kind of what you're saying too, as far as the back, if they have issues. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
I think there's enough room currently as far as proximity for the fire authority in front of the building. Even without the encroachment license, as far as just space, the parking spaces, David has a real problem if without the encroachment license for the parking spaces. But there's still, I don't know, what is that distance between the building and the end of the edge of the property is
To the north, to the south is 10 feet.
towards Argentine, towards the east is probably 14, 15 feet, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that to the property line.
Yeah, to the property line.
Gotcha. Because I was thinking too, if for some reason they would lose all that space, they decide to put a 4-lane, you know, 4 or 5 lanes through there, some, you know, you never know. And if you still have parking there, just throwing it out there just for question.
One thing I know about most fire departments is they're not shy to drive wherever they want to drive.
That's true.
Perfect. Does anybody on the board have any other questions?
I move that we approve the encroachment license as presented. Still waiting for responses from the fire department.
Fire department.
So we got a second on
Wait a
that?
minute.
I'll
I'm
second.
sorry, but excuse me. You guys are recommending approval.
To
With
the Board of
Selectmen.
Selectmen.
With conditions.
Yeah.
With the condition of the approval of the fire authority?
Correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
Gotcha.
Second,
Mhm.
I had to Hoover.
So we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Perfect.
Well, great, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it and hope to move this project forward. And Kent will get with you and as we move this forward further.
And hey, Dwayne, just to make a record, because we're on Zoom here, when people say aye, you aren't sure that it's
Right.
unanimous unless you ask, are there any opposed?
All right, or is there anyone opposed?
That's for Jennifer's benefit because she,
No,
you
for
know,
sure.
she's got to make the minutes, and the other way to do it is you have people raise their hands so you can actually see them. But just remember, we're on Zoom, and so you just have to make sure the record's clear.
Perfect. I made that mistake at the last meeting too. Sorry about that. All right, so Kent, we're off to the next one, correct? The encroachment license recommendation for Wally Wirt. I think I'm saying that right, applicant for Creek House condos, location extending parking lot into Rose Street right of way.
Yes, sir. And just to do the beginning again, this is a procedure that is brought to you. This is a proposed encroachment license, and I gave you the background. And you had the procedure in the packet as well.
Mhm.
And then in the action item form, it goes through the criteria of why is this coming to the planning commission? And then going through each criteria as far as the answers from town departments, as far as the different review criteria, which includes questions like circulation, street maintenance, utilities, enforcement, and all kinds of other stuff. I think there's, what is there? Eight different categories of criteria for review that are included in this. And you have the answers from the various departments. Again, we don't have the answer from the fire authority regarding, there's one or two of those categories that the fire department is asked specific questions on. This one is over at the Creek House condos. It is, which is at 1890 Argentine. And I'll ask either Wally Wirt or Pat Kennedy. Pat Kennedy is the one who did the drawing. And I'll have a couple comments after they present, probably as well, because there is a benefit to the town as well regarding this encroachment license. So.
Yeah, thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm Wally Wirt. I'm the property manager for building C and D of Creek House condos. And this is a major project that we've been looking at for the past year. We don't have enough parking spaces. Our CC&Rs, our covenant controls and rules require that we provide 2 per unit. We have 24 units between the 2 buildings and we don't have enough parking spaces. This encroachment license will allow us to expand partially to pick up some more spaces, and it will also enhance the fire lane, since the back side of our buildings is the current fire lane, and we anticipate that that will stay open as it is, but we will add some additional parking spaces by gaining this easement. Other parking spaces will be gained by changing some of the landscaping at the buildings, and we'll get to, I think, 38, which is a lot better than we've had historically. And I've owned a unit in there since 1999. Historically, Summers have found it a challenge to accommodate our owners, and we know that some of the Fisher persons like to park back there. And it's been a challenge. We think that this expansion will give us the necessary room, and it is adjacent to the creek. So it really has no real impact on anyone else. It does not extend beyond either of our lot lines, as was given in the exhibit that we submitted that was done by our surveyor. But we think this is a benefit for us, for the city. Our current parking lot is deteriorating significantly. I was hoping that Pat Kennedy would join me. He retired from the city of Denver in the streets department, and he is my expert on paving. And I'm leaning on him. There he is. You want to, so the parking lot is deteriorating significantly. We know that there's cracking. We know there's settling. Our snowplow service is having some difficulty clearing it because of the changes in elevation. It needs to be thoroughly redone, and this easement will allow us to be able to expand and make the parking lot worthy of the buildings. I've been a manager for 2 years, and I've been spending the board's money with reckless abandon, more like a drunken sailor on shore leave. But we have got the building maintenance up to date. We painted the trim. We're going to undertake annual roof inspections. We have a number of other things that we have done to improve the property. This is the final piece of that puzzle. So I'm hoping you will see fit to approve this, recommend it, and I'll let Pat answer any technical questions, because all I know about paving is I drive on it.
Well, and before we get into questions, I just want to add that, one of the things we're looking at doing is along with improving the quality of the pavement itself, we're providing some parking spaces that can be used for, the citizens of any kind who want to go out and fish in Clear Creek, or there's that park that's right on the other side of the footbridge. But it also will improve the access for any emergency equipment, or, just for us residents, but emergency equipment, as well, to get around that structure, around those structures if they need to.
You guys, go ahead, Kent.
Well, and I'll just add on to what Pat said, and you can see it on your Exhibit A, which Jennifer can share the screen again, but it's this one that Pat drew up. And it shows a dotted line. This is the old, it's Rose Street right away is why we need the encroachment license to be approved for this area. Is it used to be, and she'll get down to the page where the,
There it is.
and then you can, this, the property line is just that dark line there before the hatching occurs. That's the property line for the Creek House condos. And then beyond that is the Rose Street right away. When the town was originally platted, that even though it's next to the creek, and it shows the Clear Creek there on the right side of the page. And that's right next to the creek. When the town was originally platted, they had the Rose Street right away because it continued from the south, and they just made it keep going all the way north. There is never any intention for the town to build a street through there. One is right next to the creek and doesn't make it viable for, you'd have to do quite a bit of improvements to make it a decent street. And the edge of asphalt is shown right in the middle of the right of way right now. Actually, previously, although that was probably done before the encroachment license procedure was put in place, the edge of their parking lot should have had an encroachment license already because it extends into the Rose Street right of way. But what Pat has shown on here is towards the bottom of the page, it says Creek House parking, which is some additional 3 or 4 spots down at the bottom there. They also have like half of the current spots that are for building C on that side are within the right of way. And then there's a trash enclosure, which is shown on this. And then at the top of the right of way, or the north edge of the property, would be 4 spaces, 4.5, 4.25, of general public parking. And those would be signed and identified as such. And then they would sign and identify their own spaces for Creek House parking only and try to separate. Not that it will eliminate, I'm sure there will still be fishermen, fisher persons that will, you can't have your truck more than 10 feet away when you're fishing. So that's a requirement whenever you're fishing. But this will attempt to have some public parking at that location. And then on the next page, Jennifer, it shows the Clear Creek County GIS, and it shows the yellow, which kind of shows where, as you get down to the next page, Jennifer, and that's where the area that's under consideration. And then you can see just to the north of there, if you haven't walked there, there's the pedestrian footbridge that goes across the mouth of Clear Creek before it enters the lagoon.
Right.
And that's also where the trail will pick up that goes on the west side of the lagoon. Once all the building at Bighorn is done, the pedestrian path that is part of that project goes all the way there. And actually the path itself goes in between the parking lot of Bighorn and the Creek House Condos parking lot. So this will be a good parking space for anyone wanting to use the path. Obviously, there's probably not enough spaces, but 4 is better than 0. And we do appreciate working with Creek House Condos as far as this possibility to have some public parking spaces available at this location. So that's the couple additional comments I had, Dwayne.
Awesome, thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Could you go back to the last map that you had on there? Can we see that again?
Is that the right one? Or,
Now
and we
I've
do
got-
have one more I could show. Can you
Okay, that's
see
the one that I
that?
was looking at. Yep. So,
Is that what you?
yeah, that's right. So I'm not sure, were you saying it's the yellow area that you're adding on to the parking?
Yeah, that's the what's highlighted in yellow that also makes the GE of Georgetown
Yeah,
yellow.
okay.
That's the area in consideration. The current asphalt extends a little ways into that area already, but
Okay. And how does that affect the creek bank along there?
We're
And
looking- Yeah.
and the landscape growth that's along there?
The vast majority of the existing landscaping material, bushes, they're along the bank itself. There is one bush that's up on top that will probably be removed, but the vast majority is down along the bank itself. We want to make sure we don't push our parking or our paving any closer to the creek than we need to, just because of bank stability, and we don't want somebody to come through at 2 in the morning and drive into the creek. So we want to make sure we stay back a few feet from the lip of the embankment.
Thank
I
you.
should also add that there are signs along the back of our parking lot indicating it is a fire lane and prohibiting any parking other than the cars that you see in this picture. And then we'll continue that signage.
Okay.
Perfect.
the fishermen still park there every once in a while, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, as you know, this is, I haven't fished in years, but I've been told that this is some of the best fishing anywhere around. So I expect we will have a sufficient number, but we want to make sure that that lane stays open in the event of first responders.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Will that show as public parking?
Yes, it will be signed for publicly available parking.
Nobody from the condo can park there.
The way the agreement is written at this point is it could be used by either.
Oh,
Okay.
And there's some spaces, Ed, that are identified as public parking, and there's a few spaces that are identified as Creek House Condos parking.
yeah. Well, you have to see how it goes, you know. If the condo people continue can use them, and they will probably, then there will be no benefit for fishermen. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Well, as property manager, I will assure you that I will make the owners notice that those parking spaces are for the public and should not be used. We're looking at a number of different techniques to control our own parking, but we will also address the issue of leaving spaces for the real visitors.
I guess the one thing I would say would be, as a board, we will make sure we keep the owners informed of that, and knowing that there's the risk that if we were to abuse the use of those parking stalls that are set aside for the public that Georgetown could revoke our license, so.
Well, my quick question for you, Kent, I guess it's kind of, I thought sometime in the past we had talked about that, but, you know, I don't think we do. I think most public parking spots are not overnight parking anyway, correct, Kent? So it kind of falls into there. I mean, if somebody's going to fish or they're visiting somebody at the condos, I mean, it's public parking. You know, I don't think you can place that 100%. It kind of is what it is. The fact that it creates more parking, I think, is always a benefit. As of right now, there's no spots there. I mean, does that kind of help answer your question, Ed?
Pretty much, yeah.
I think the only time it would become a problem is someone parked there for a week, a month, you know, then
Well,
we'll get a
that's-
complaint to the police department.
Well,
You
we're
know,
wrestling
there's-
that within our own complex because we have rules and regulations on how long you could park a vehicle as it is.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
Like any
Okay.
other shared parking, it'll just require kind of ongoing messaging to the people that are there. And as occupants of the condos turn over, that means you'll have new people. And that's something that I know the condo manager, you know, that's part of their job. And it's an ongoing educational process that
Yeah.
really never over with, but that's fine. That's how that works.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, can we get a motion to approve the applicant for Creek House condos?
Recommend
Sorry.
approval.
What's that?
Recommend
Recommend.
approval.
Sorry, can I get a recommended approval for the applicant for Creek House condos?
Okay, I have a question. Do we have to wait to hear from the Clear Creek Fire Authority since they've never responded back? Can we make that a condition? Is it necessary?
I think it would be appropriate to have that as one,
Okay.
a condition as well. I mean, I don't
Okay,
expect
so-
any additional comments from fire authority, but it would be
We can put that
appropriate.
in there?
Yeah.
Okay. So then
Right.
could we motion to recommend approval with conditions?
Yes, yes, you can.
Okay, for the Clear Creek Fire, we'll be specific to see if they respond back.
Yeah, it'd be appropriate to recommend approval to the Board of Selectmen with the condition that the recommendation of the Clear Creek Fire Authority be obtained before the Board of Selectmen acts.
Okay,
Like that.
perfect. Thank you. Yes.
Yep.
All right, so you made the motion. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Do we have anybody not in favor? All right, perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate it. This is a major project for me and I'm looking forward to getting it completed. It'll
Yes,
be the last of the steps that I want to take to make enhance the overall quality of our buildings.
All right, awesome. Thanks very much, guys.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to drop off the call unless you need me further.
You're good.
All right. Thank you all again.
Welcome.
All right, I think all we have left is the approval of the meeting minutes from January 20th, 2021. Can I get a motion to approve?
Aye. Me, Denise. I motion to approve.
Can I get all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
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 Aye. Anyone not in favor? All right, perfect. This meeting is adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Have a great evening.
Bye.
Thanks.